So for those of you who don't know, I'm going to give you a quick potted history of what happened at Shrewsbury in 1970 odd. And I know some of these lads have been out early this morning and they've been talking about the blacklist. And I has turned up a little piece of evidence here for me, which my name is on this, and it's on with the list of other sort of activists, and this goes back 40 years to when I was living in a little tiny council house in Wrexham, and it's just got everyone's name and address, but on mine it's also got my national insurance number. And the reason for that is because when Desi Warren and I came out of jail, Desi dyed his hair, changed his name, and thought he could get a job, but of course he couldn't, because he couldn't change his national insurance number. But as I said, let's give a quick potted history before I appeal to you for your help. In 1972, although I'm a time-served City and Guilds plasterer, I was working as a labourer with the safety gang on the Wrexham bypass, when the first, one and only ever national building strike was called. And we were visited by a crowd of lads who told us all about the strike and asked us to join in, and of course, obviously, we did join in. And although I was a Scouser and living in North Wales, the lads elected me as their mouthpiece for the duration of the strike, and I was very, very proud to have been elected to that position, and I served it as best I could. But for those of you who don't know, who are not in the building industry, in them days we went on strike for £30 for a 35-hour week and better health and safety. Because in the building industry in them days, the fatality rate was equal to that of the mining industry and the farming industry put together. Someone died every single working day in the building industry. But if you went to work at 8 o'clock in the morning and you got soaking wet, you worked in them clothes until you knocked off, or you went home and you lost your pay. And I remember one incident because I was the steward, as I say, on the site. Two Irish lads working down, two brothers we were working down a ditch, and one accidentally hit his brother in the head with a shovel which had a severe cut. And I said to him, come on, get out the ditch, get in my van, get in your Land Rover, and I'll take you to the hospital. And he said, no, he said, I don't want to lose any time, I don't want to lose my time, I might lose my job. And you think that's bad enough? I remember one Monday morning going around the site collecting the subs, and there was a man called John DeLee. John DeLee was what they call a ganger. And the works boss was a man called Mick Mead, a man from the Midlands, Irishman, who was 6'7" tall and a bully, an out-and-out bully. And he's dressing John DeLee down. Now, as I say, this is in 1972. And he's given him such a dressing down that when he walked away, I went over and said to John DeLee, what the hell was that all about? Why is he talking to you like that? He said, well, it didn't turn out yesterday, Rick. I had Sunday off. And I said, well, that's still no reason for him to talk to you like that. I said, let's go to the office. He said, oh, no, don't. He said, it's not the first time I've done it. I said, why, when have you done it before? He said, in 1957. 15 years he hadn't had a day off work on the building industry in 15 years, and he's getting bollocked because he had to lie in one Sunday morning. But as I say, conditions in the building industry then were horrendous. They're not much better now, and as you know, it was all about the lump. So we went on strike, we visited all the sites. I had hired a coach to go from Wrexham to Shrewsbury because that's where we were told that the picketing for that day would finish. When we got to Shrewsbury, the lad said, look, if you go further afield, and you go to the Brookside site and the various other sites. So I had to phone the coach over to say, listen, Techwin, because they used to use the coach for the school run. Techwin, he said, okay, I have the coach for the rest of the day, we're going further on. And he said, of course. So he allowed us to carry on with the coach, because don't forget, later on, we were charged with conspiracy to go to this particular site. Needless to say, we went to the site, it was a McAlpine site, and somehow, unknowns to us, the media were waiting for us on the site. The local paper, the Scottish Star, had been tipped off that we were coming to the McAlpine site. And they were there, and they took photographs on the day. Photographs that were later on used in the court trial, but were shown to the jury in reverse order. So as I say, this is part of the little conspiracy that has been going on since 1972. As I say, I was asked to plead guilty because people knew my family's political background. This was 5 months after the strike had finished. And I said, how can I be a prosecution witness? I was the leader of the Wrexham pickets. He said, well, if you're not going to give evidence for the we're going to prosecute you, and I said, well, so be it. So we went to trial in Shrewsbury, 4,000 police on duty outside the courtroom on the day of the trial. 4,000 police, they were split up, they were inside the court, they were in cars, they were in vans, they had dogs, they even had photographers on top of the statue outside the courtroom, filming people. So as I say, we went in and we were offered a deal. We got the 6 of us, the 6 defendants, in what we call a holding cell, and 2 of the barristers came down, David Taylor Samuels and John Maxwell, or David Altar, I don't think they're doing now, and they said, listen, the prosecution have offered you a deal. If you plead guilty now, you're going to get fined 50 quid. The union are going to pay the £50, and you'll all be back in your houses for 12 o'clock. And 4 of the lads took the deal, and they came to me and I said, you're not on. I've never been in trouble with the police in my life. I've come from the heart of Liverpool. I've got 3 brothers. We were no angels, but we never had the police at the door because we had too much respect for our mother. So I'm not taking that deal. And Desi Warren said the same. So give the 4 their due. He said, if you 2 are pleading not guilty, then so are we. And so the farce began. The trial began. This is now 1973, 5 months after the building strike finished. The trial lasted 55 days. It cost over £1 million in them days. And I've got a document here which is wonderful. That lady there has uncovered stuff which it's like diamonds. She should work in a diamond mine because she picked bloody diamonds up all the time. This is from the Attorney General to the Home Secretary of the day. And I'll just read a little brief passage where it says here, they've studied all the documentation because we knew that when we were picking on these sites, we were accompanied at all times by between 60 and 80 policemen. No one was charged, no one was arrested, and not one name and address was taken on the day. And he states here that he's discussed it all, and prosecutions and to get the verdict would certainly be impossible. There's no case to answer. 10 days later, we were charged with 241 offences. 21 against me and 27 against Des Warren. Well, needless to say, the trial was an absolute farce. And the jury rules were changed for that particular trial by the Home Secretary of the day, who then forbid our barristers to challenge a juror about their occupation. Up to then you could say to someone, what's your job? Because a load of the people who come in to sit on the jury had been on the sites that we picketed, and they could no longer do that. Also, my photograph and Desi Warren's photograph with our names written on them was shown to every single witness that came into the court to give evidence, and that they were even told where we were sitting in the jury box. So that's, and don't forget, this is supposed to be no politics involved in this. So as I say, the jury were out, couldn't reach a verdict. The judge said, well, I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll send these lot back to jail for the night. You go home, think about it, and we'll take a majority verdict. And the next day we came back and we were found guilty on a 10-2 verdict. And of course, the lads got suspended sentences. Mackie Jones got 9 months. And we've reduced our charges now to just 3 specimen charges on each. But the conspiracy was obviously the bad one. And I was sentenced to 2 years on each of the 3 charges. Desi Warren was sentenced to 3 years on each of the 3 charges. And the judge had to take them down. But it wasn't before I made a speech from the dock in which I said to him, this is a political trial. This is a political trial, and one day it might become a crime to be a member of the trade union movement. That's why I'm delighted to be here today and allow myself to this campaign about the we're not all jumping on the bandwagon. This was said in 1973. So of course you all know what happened when we went in jail. We wouldn't work, we wouldn't soldier, we wouldn't wear clothes, and we wouldn't use the toilets. And I can honestly tell you, the whole of the time I was in prison, I never once pressed that bell for any assistance. I never once shut my own cell door. because I said to them I shouldn't be in here. But then a wonderful thing happened, funny enough. There was always something that comes out of the darkness. When I was in Leicester, I was in what we call a segregation unit, and was visited by the governor. And he was unique, this man, because I've been in 14 different prisons. He used to move us round. Desi Warren was in 17. He'd come in at midnight, say, put your gear in your pillowcase, and he'd whiz you away. So your families wouldn't even know where you were. But this man came in, this governor, and he was unique because he wore his ordinary clothes. He never had a prison guard with him, always walked around on his own. And he come into the segregation unit, and he said, listen, he said, you know you shouldn't be in here, don't you? And I went, I know that. He said, I'm an ex-bricklayer. He said, but I had to leave the building industry because of chronic arthritis and his hands were crippled. He said, but I'm a bricklayer by trade. He said, have you read this book? I said, what is it? He said, it's called A Ragged Trouser Philanthropist. And it changed my life. And people have read about it in articles, and I've sent that book to China, Australia, Canada. I've sent copies all over the world because it's as relevant today as it was when it was written by women in 1920. To get on, but what I am saying is I'll have to go this to a close. What I am coming here for today is for your help to sign an e-petition. We've got an early day motion going through, and we've got about 59 MPs who've signed it. And right across the board, we've even got a Tory who's signed it. We've even got a member of the Conservative Party who signed the EDM. But we've also got an e-petition organised, as I say, by Miss Hathaway down there, ladies and gentlemen, who does everything. She's like a bloody ferret. She does everything. But we need 100,000 signatures. Now you say, well, that's okay, 100,000 signatures. Well, let me tell you, do you know how many we've got on now? 17,000. So when she inquired and said, what's the score here? He said, oh, there's been a bit of a glitch. But it's not only your petition, it's been off for a while. She said, no, there's something wrong there. He went, oh, by bullshit, you went more than 17,000. You've actually had 56,000. But 40-odd thousand of them have been debarred. They're terrified in case we get that 100,000 because it has to be discussed in Parliament. And we've got great MPs who are backing our cause, and they will answer questions because there's people still alive who are responsible for putting us in jail, and they're the McAlpines and the building bosses that put us there, and we'll have them back in jail tomorrow if people think good for standing up to them. So what I'm here for today is to ask Glenn and to ask Bob and to ask all the trade union leaders to get your members, please, to sign that e-petition. Give us the 100,000 we want. Let's make a show of the bastards and expose them for what